You're listening to On the Way Home with your host, Emmy Kelly.
Welcome back to On the Way Home, the podcast where we explore the ideas, people, and programs shaping solutions to homelessness and poverty across Canada. I'm your host, Emmy Kelly, and today's episode is especially important to me because we're talking about Construct, a trades-based employment social enterprise that started locally but has grown into a national movement. At its heart, Construct is about breaking down barriers to meaningful employment while tackling the skilled labor shortage, two issues that are inseparable from housing stability. Joining me are Emma Wood, Emma Murgida, and Jarrod Armer, who have each played key roles in shaping Construct's journey from idea to impact. Together, they'll share what home means to them, how Construct began, and how it's scaling across Canada through Construct Canada. Whether you're curious about workforce development, community partnerships, or national solutions to poverty and homelessness, this is a conversation close to my heart that you won't want to miss. I am here today with an incredible dream team. We have Emma Wood, Emma Murgida, and Jarrod Armer from our Construct expansion team. And we're going to start with our signature question, asking you, what does home mean to you? We'll start with Emma Wood, then Emma M, and Jarrod.
Home means a lot of things to me, but most importantly, it's a spot where I can connect with the people I love and do the things that I love. I'll pass it to Emma.
Yeah, I think that's a really great answer. And I would just add that it's also a place of like rest and rejuvenation for me, a place to go to kind of catch up and get some solace in between a busy week or in between hobbies. I'll throw over to Jarrod.
Home for me is just peace for me. Get away from the busy week, can fully regenerate my mental health, physical health, and everything, and connect with family and friends.
To our listeners, this is a pretty exciting episode because there's an opportunity for organizations, individuals to get involved in a really cool model that can be replicated across Canada. We're gonna just go back a little bit and start at the beginning. And Emma, I'm wondering if you can take us back to the start of Construct. You only launched 5 years ago, but what was the local need that Construct was setting out to address? And how does it specifically tackle the root causes of poverty and homelessness in the communities that it's running in or that Construct, your team, is serving in?
Mm-hmm. So Construct was built on the idea of, in order to achieve the financial stability you need to have stable housing, you need to enter in a job that's not only in demand, but pays a living wage and has that opportunity to grow. So Blue Door looked around and said, what if we built a program that we could help get people into the construction trades, knowing it's a growing industry and quite a stable industry in terms of the income you can get. And so we looked into our own backyard and said, there's no programs like this in York Region. Let's create one, and worked with industry experts and others who had done similar programming to develop Construct. And essentially, the theory of change there is that when you get people from a point of instability and provide them with that opportunity to engage in paid employment training where they have opportunity to access resources and actually explore what the opportunities in the trades are, you then are getting them set up on that pathway to enter into apprenticeships or straight into work in the trades where they're starting at a living wage and have the opportunity to grow from there. So it's really creating that pathway into meaningful employment. And it's addressing just not only the challenge that we see here at Blue Door in helping people get out of a state of homelessness into stable housing, but it's also addressing the need for skilled workers who are hopefully going to be building the affordable housing we need in this country.
That sounds like a solution across three of Canada's intersecting challenges right now of homelessness that's on the rise, a lack of adequate housing, and a lack of laborers to build the housing we need. So what an amazing solution. I love too how you highlighted others who had started in this work in their communities, Choices for Youth in Newfoundland, building up in Toronto, community builders in Barrie, who were all instrumental in helping us start this further ahead. Emma Murgida, what made you realize the impact of Construct needing to reach beyond York Region? And I will say that Emma is back with us in the capacity of leading expansion efforts, and was previously with Blue Door before in the actual program service delivery and even the business part of the social enterprise. So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to do all that, to come back, and then now, you know, that impact of wanting to reach beyond just our region.
Yeah, I think it's been super exciting to see the growth of the program. As you mentioned, Emmy, I joined Construct originally in 2021, so it was only about a year old when I joined. I think at the time we were on our 4th or 5th cohort maybe, and so that reach was definitely very localized to GTA, Newmarket area. And when I finished my schooling, I was able to come back and hop into the team a little bit more full-time. And at that point, we had actually just expanded into Durham region and Peel region. And so that was really awesome to see that growing of the program within these other communities, and the interest from other organizations who were really seeing the impact that Construct was having. And then getting to move into this role now, working with other Emma and Jarrod as well on bringing Construct across Canada. I think we've really identified that there is, like Emma mentioned, there is a need for addressing the labor gap. There's a need for the skilled workers. And so having conversations now and seeing from back in day one and when I led my first cohort to now, how many individuals have come through the program, and identifying with other organizations that there is a need for this type of programming, especially with the number of wraparound supports that are offered that really allow the participants to be successful in completing the program and then securing that meaningful employment at the end to be able to continue with their next steps. And so it's been a really great journey to kind of go from that first year cohort now into almost our end of our year 5, and seeing how many, I think there's been over 700 participants who've completed the program. So it's been really exciting to be a part of that growth from close to the beginning to now, and excited to see where it's going.
Thank you. And to all our listeners, I want to highlight, so Construct, just to give you a bit more of perspective, is a trades-based employment social enterprise that Blue Door launched 5 years ago. And we started very, very small off the side of our desks and worked really hard to get it to where it is now. So when Emma's talking about, you know, the first 4 or 5 cohorts, that was our reality, really building it from the ground up. And now, how many cohorts do you have in this year?
We're doing 27 cohorts this year.
Yeah, and the team continues to expand the local reach, and that really impactful work. And I will say, this program means a lot to me. In my final dissertation for my MBA, I took on the business planning, and one of the conversations that I had, I wondered why, with such a good solution, were people not building it to scale? Everyone wanted to stay local in their communities. And so what this team on this pod has done over time has thought about what are the impacts that we can have locally, and what are pieces of this program that we can replicate broadly without losing community impact. What are the pieces of this program that other organizations can take on and replicate in their communities where they're already strong, where they're already connected to those they serve? And so that's exactly what this team has done. Jarrod, maybe if you would explain to us a little bit more about the ways now that you've built out this replicable concept. What are the ways that organizations can adopt Construct Canada? And can you walk us through, I think there's 2 models now. What are those 2 models, and how can people participate?
Yeah, so Construct Canada will officially be launching in January 2026. The one route is our Construct Canada portal, which is a live platform that consists of all our content that we use in our own organization, as well as can be transferable into other organizations' programs. I'll offer 3 unique course packages that are meant to serve as to support or add value to any programs that are looking to add those additional pieces of education or learning. And they're all unbranded content, so it can all be formed to consist of partners' logos and have that customized feel. So everything will be unbranded in that regard. The other route is our Construct Canada Replicate. So the best phrase that we've been hearing is construct in a box, and it's ready to plug and play in their community. What that offers is 3 days of ourselves visiting that partner, doing a comprehensive orientation and onboarding in terms of operations of how the Construct program runs, how to tie in your community into that program to further support the longevity of and the success of this program in your community, as well as consistent implementation support throughout coaching calls, and working with our partners to provide that flexibility within the content or of the program itself, as we understand that every community is different from another. So we are always striving to have that relationship that we're always trying to support and collaborate.
That's awesome. So wait, let me get my notes. I don't want to miss any of the good things. Emma, could you tell us what types of systems, partnerships, and infrastructure did you have to build or adapt to develop Construct Canada?
Mm-hmm. So Blue Door, in building out Construct Canada, we looked internally first and how did we grow the program from York region to Peel and Durham region. And at the very core there was a few systems and partnerships we knew we needed to replicate in order to make Construct Canada successful. And the first was the relationship with trade unions and union partners. So a big part of Construct is being able to provide that opportunity for participants to get that exposure and hands-on training in the trades. And we have a number of really great partnerships here in the GTA who will take participants on tours to show them what the opportunities are in specific trades like electrical or HVAC or sheet metal. But they also provide them with hands-on training. So they actually get that exposure to the trades. They get key certificates and tickets to help them get on to those next stages. And ultimately, for the participant, decide, is the trades for me? Is this that right pathway? And so we had to look at how can we build these partnerships in new communities, and where do we see these right partners who are able to take on this programming with us. So we first looked to our trade partners, and then we looked internally to us again to say, what knowledge do we know? What lessons have we learned? We've done close to 100 cohorts now with over 750 participants. So we've had a lot of lessons learned in every cohort. We've learned something else. So together we put together toolkits and guides to actually coach people through, and this is one of the guides here, everything you need to know, not only about delivering the program, but the curriculum with the program. It's that plug and play curriculum, as Jarrod said, so you're able to take it and run with it right away. You don't need to do any adapting. It has everything you need to go. And then it also helps any troubleshooting that might come up. So it's kind of not only what you need to do to implement the program, but then thinking ahead, what could this program look like in 1, 2, 3 years? And more of that leadership mindset and, thinking strategically, not only upon program implementation, but what can we be doing now to set us up for success in the long run? And then the other piece is, it speaks to this team. So both Jarrod and Emma have been with the Construct team for quite some time now and are quite large experts in the Construct program. We're always learning from our cohorts and our participants in, so we're able to share that knowledge with our Construct Canada Replicate partners as they're going this through the first time. So when they're running into a participant scenario, we've likely already encountered it and we have various ways to help them address it. Or when they're running into a scenario with one of their partners, we have those tools to help them, support them get through any troubleshooting and ensure that smooth implementation.
Love that. So maybe just for the listeners who might not be following Construct as closely as we are, as you can tell, we're a very passionate crew. Construct, this team started Construct on the ground in York Region. Now it's expanded into Peel and Durham, and that's Blue Door's direct service delivery touch of Construct. And then right now, the team that you're meeting on this podcast are leading Construct Canada, which what we understand now so far today is that there's two options for models that you can take of Construct Canada to replicate in your organization and community. Am I still following correctly?
You've got it.
Okay. Emma M., poverty and homelessness look so different in different parts across Canada. How do you adapt Construct Canada model to different cultural, economic, or social landscapes?
Yeah, so this has been really interesting that we've been getting to actually test this out, because earlier this spring we got to pilot with two different organizations, one in Niagara and one in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And so those were two very different areas to what we're typically used to serving within more of the GTA region. And so through that, we've been able to kind of see these differences between not just the individuals participating in the program, but also the local resources available to support our partner organizations. And so that's been a really a big learning opportunity, I think, for this team to be able to go branch out into these other communities to really see what these different landscapes are. And so when we're looking at the two different models, especially through the replicate model, where partners are actually taking on pretty much everything that we do and adapting it to their own communities. Like Emma mentioned with those guides, we've really kind of created them to be this flexible, all-encompassing tool that can be adapted to meet various needs. So, for example, going out to Halifax and working with our partners there, they have the marine life and shipping, and there's Navy bases out there that are not something that we typically see within the Ontario demographic. So being able to introduce some of those trades and pathways into the programming became something totally new that we've never seen. And so we really were kind of learning from being able to go out there and actually visit our partners there to kind of see what the landscape is like out there. We were also able to go into these communities and actually be talking with organizations who are doing the kind of, they have their they're the first point of contact for many of the participants who will be going into the programming. And so we were able to see things about how different unions and different employment pathways are available within these communities that we've never seen before. And so really working with our partners through this close relationship to be able to identify how we can best support them to establish these relationships, to create employment pathways, or secure more wraparound supports. And so really trying to leverage the different things that are available in that community and help our partners be able to develop those relationships to keep moving forward. And that's really more so for the replicate side. And then for portal users, we've really noticed that our curriculum can be used in a variety of different formats. It's not something that just has to be tailored towards employment programming. We've got courses on mental health, on EDI, being more than a bystander, resume writing. And so this really flexible, kind of all-encompassing curriculum can be taken on by any organization really to complement what they're already doing. And it doesn't have to be just trades focused. And so having this kind of open understanding to be flexible and work with our partners pretty close to identify what really is going to work best for you, because what you're seeing or what you need is probably different from what we're seeing, because our community maybe has more access to resources or is located a little bit closer to a certain organization that's already doing something that maybe you need to bring in to your community. And so we're really working pretty closely and uniquely with every organization to be able to identify exactly what's going on in their community and how can we best all work together to create this working dynamic system to ensure everybody who's going through the programming is being able to be successful.
I really love that also, what you just shared, because I think nonprofits and charities are often already pretty strapped. You're serving the communities most vulnerable. You have a lot to do. Maybe you want to take on new programming, but the reality is it can be a pretty tough slog because you don't maybe have the resources available or the people that would have to invest time to, plan it out, build a curriculum, find the partnerships, do the work. That can be challenging. And so what you're saying is you have a package that's ready for replication, and the nonprofits and charity can continue to do the work that they're so good at doing already in the community with the people you serve, and have all the tools, both participant and facilitator tools, available to use, which is incredible. And then Emma Wood, you also mentioned some key partners that have come on board across Canada, which is also huge, right? That puts an organization ahead by several steps if they wish to implement a program like this. So that's a lot of tough work that this team has done. Jarrod, what would you say was the hardest part of creating or scaling this, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I would say the hardest part, it's definitely the social landscape. We found that we were kind of like the new kids in the playground in a sense. There were other organizations that, kind of focused in the trades as well, but our program has a very unique demographic or niche that we work with, and that is for those that are furthest away from employment, but would hold a great value as a skilled laborer as well. With our program, I think that niche is that we offer wraparound supports that are very unique to our individuals that would participate, especially at the partners that were participating with us in this our pilot. And the other part was just continuing those relationships. So even the organizations in the area that were focused in trades as well, we had the conversation of being like, well, how can we tie your services into our program? So it's not that so you get to know us better, but it's also we can create a relationship, our professional relationship, where our cohorts or our participants in that organization can be able to utilize the services that you offer to help them succeed in their career path in the skilled trades.
So it was tough, but looking back, would you ever say there was a specific moment during the pilot where you realized this is really working?
Yeah, I think the best that I can really take from this is I remember Emma, Murgida, and we went on a coaching call with our partner in Niagara. And this was over, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks after we did the onboarding and the implementation with our partner. And the coordinator was pretty much, she just said, this program is great. She just blatantly said it. It's great. It's easy to use. Our participants are using it. And is there any other way that I can add value to this? Because I've identified these partners that can support this program, make it stronger in our community, such as focusing on financial literacy, upgrading academics, tours, guest workshops. And with that conversation, after that, I would say I'd give it till the end of their first 2 cohorts. From that first conversation was that 93% of all their participants were accepted into apprenticeship with their local LIUNA, and that the remainder of that percentage actually went on to start their own business in landscaping. So I think it's nice to see that it's definitely working, that plug and play curriculum that the 3 of us, we worked really hard to make it as seamless and easy as possible to implement, but also seeing those results made it very rewarding that this is a program that can definitely be recreated in different communities.
Those are stunning results. Very incredible to hear and to share. So thank you. And I know that, in our line of work, there's always so many good news stories that we can share that create that warm and fuzzy feeling. But then at the same time, we have to start pivoting towards data-driven solutions that actually speak volumes about how we are saving costs or how we are turning the needle. And, there is that element in the charity and nonprofit space as well, where we do have to prove ourselves and the work that we're doing to ensure that the support continues going in the right direction. So maybe Emma I'll ask you, as the leader of Construct, what is your long-term goal for Construct Canada and how you're looking at supporting breaking the cycle of poverty and homelessness through this work?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're just getting started with Construct Canada and really shooting for the stars on this one. We've seen how well the program operates here in York Peel and Durham region and how much that impact is on the participants who come through the program. So we know here in the GTA, of the 750 people who have gone through the program, 80% move on to employment after finishing the program and 75% move on into the trades. So we know it creates that pipeline of talent into the skills trades and supporting people in gaining that financial stability to have housing stability. So we want to continue not only in the GTA, but with Construct Canada partners to create this workforce development hub where essentially we're bringing in key experts, not only in nonprofit social service, in housing, in trades, in employment supports, to work with cross-sector partnerships to actually run this model together, because that's how this model works best. It's not putting all the weight on one organization to do it all. It's tapping in those key experts from multiple different sectors to help people get from A to B through the program. The other piece with it is Blue Door has run the program for 5 years now. So we have quite a bit of data on the participants who have come through the program, but also the costs associated with running the program. And we know what that true cost is per participant in the program. And now we're looking at what is that cost compared to if they were reliant on emergency housing services or visits to our emergency department or on Ontario Works. And so Blue Door will be releasing a report in upcoming weeks of the cost savings analysis of that one-time investment in a Construct participant versus if that participant were to stay reliant on these public provincial systems. On top of that, we're going to build on that report once released and actually do a longitudinal study. And this is looking at the participants who have been in the program back in 2020 and 2021 when Emmy Murgida was getting the program off the ground to see where they are now. So we follow participants currently just up to a year, and we see that that seems to be the time where they typically find employment within 6 months, and then they don't need our support after a year. But we want to know now where they are. Where have they progressed in their careers? How have they advanced? Did they stay in the trades? And so this longitudinal study is going to take a bit longer to go because we really want to take all that information from participants in year 1 to 3 to then show that long-term, hopefully be able to show that long-term investment into the trades. And then really the last goal for Construct Canada, as Jarrod said, we're launching in 2026. So officially you'll be able to access our portal. And then we'll also be working with 2 new Replicate partners to grow the program in their communities. We wanted to continue to see that growth, not only through the portal, but how can we take this proven model and bring it to new communities where this program is needed to help support vulnerable individuals in securing employment opportunities in the trades. And so that growth we hope to be organic and working with like-minded organizations and partners to bring it to life. But we're really excited to also see where our pilot partners in Niagara and Halifax go next with their programs now that they've done their initial pilot year and they're ready to go into that year 2 on their own.
Are you entertaining conversations with people who might be interested or organizations that might be interested right now? And if so, can you tell us a little bit about that, where people might reach out to your team, where they can get more information? And also, I heard that you're at CAEH this year.
We are.
Where can we find you? The listeners, if we want to find you, tell us a little bit about that, please. Thank you.
You can find us in so many places. So we will actually be at the Canadian Alliance to End Homeless Conference this year. We will be having a booth where you'll be able to learn more about Construct Canada, the 2 pathways, and even get a sneak peek into the portal. We'll also be at the First Work Conference, which happens to fall in the same week, where Jarrod will be presenting on Construct Canada. So if you want to learn more of the details, you can visit his session. And then we are starting to talk to people interested in adopting the portal or looking for the replicate model. So if you're interested, you can visit our website, constructgta.ca, and you'll find more information on how to book a 30-minute information call with this team to learn more about those pathways. And then, as always, if you follow Blue Door or Construct on social media, you're going to learn so much about what's happening here, not only at Construct, but with Construct Canada.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask you one question before you go. What is a dream that each of you has for Construct Canada? Any order that comes to mind.
That's a tough one. I think I'd really love to see partners within that replicate pathway. Maybe not in their first year, as we're seeing now, kind of getting them off the ground, just like how we did back in the day. But I would love to kind of see partners eventually having their own training spaces, where it's not just going to training partners like LiUNA for hands-on training, but actually building out their own training spaces, just like we have in the GTA, where there's that opportunity for participants to have even more hands-on opportunity. Because I think that those hands-on moments are really the moments where participants, it's usually that's when it kind of clicks, and they get to actually try out what they're learning in the classroom and have the opportunity to connect with one another, whether it's while they're building that Muskoka chair or whatnot. But I think that training space is really great for every one of the partners to have. And I know it took us a few years to get there once we got fully developed and up and running, and I'd love to see the partners be able to get there as well.
I'd love to see Construct Canada enter into some rural spaces. So right now we've been predominantly in urban spaces, but I think this program model has that ability to really support smaller communities that might not have access to as many resources that we have here in urban centers. And so I'd love to see the program go to more northern communities, more remote communities, and really then that flexible play gets to come in depending on the industry that's around them and adopt the program to work in that community.
I think my dream for this program is that you'll find a construct or two or three or four and so on in any province you go to across Canada, and it's just as successful as we are right now.
Thank you, Emma, Jarrod, for your incredible energy and sharing with us today. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having us, Emmy.
That's it for today's episode of On the Way Home, podcast brought to you by Blue Door. A huge thank you to Emma, and Jarrod for sharing their insights and stories about Construct and Construct Canada. Their work shows us that when we invest in people and create pathways to good jobs, we don't just reduce poverty, we build stronger communities where everyone has the chance to thrive and enjoy housing stability. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your network. Together, we can turn local impact into a national movement to make homelessness rare, brief, and non-reoccurring. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Way Home.
You're listening to On the Way Home with your host, Emmy Kelly.